So the other fight that was on last night at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, Rolly Romero versus Ismael Borrosso. I like that previous one. I have not seen the fights. I've seen the stoppage, and I saw the reaction on Twitter. Everyone going absolutely mental, calling it corruption and stuff like that. Go on, Alex. You can start us off on this one.
So I think son of Evander Holyfield, Evan Holyfield, posted something on Twitter, which I like, and he said it was a weak stoppage. So yeah, I knew Borrosso had a strong left hand, and I also knew he didn't have much of a motor. That fight was absolutely terrible. It was dog shit. It was annoying to watch. It was boring. It was not championship level boxing, and the WBA should be ashamed. PBC should be ashamed. Everyone involved should be ashamed that they went ahead, got this fight together. I did a lot of research into how all this came together. When I'm doing the research, I think last year the WBA, after Taylor had vacated, had let 6 guys, right, the number 1 through 6, go ahead in front of their committee and make a claim to why they should be fighting for the vacant title, right? This dude Borrosso has been ranked 1 and 2 for like 2-3 years, right? He was like the WBA gold champion. What's that? Good question, right? So he gets the short end of the stick. They let Puello and Akhmadov, who was on the undercard. Great fight between Kenneths. We got to talk about that later. Sorry, I saw Boz. He's hilarious. Says we're going to go 12. Apologies. But yeah, so Akhmadov, Puello get the vacant title. Borrosso is promised to be the mandatory. O'Hara Davies is promised to be the second mandatory, basically, if Borrosso can't get the fight. And then they say Regis can get the shot if those guys don't get it, right? If they don't go ahead and put their ink to paper. So we know Regis goes to fight for the WBC. Puello and Akhmadov fight, right? Split decision win for Puello, right? How did we get to the point where it was going to be Albert Puello versus Rolly Romero, who just lost 135 off a one-punch KO from Tank Davis? Does anybody know? No, there's no reason. There's no reason at all. Barroso's been fighting small-time fights. I think I watched him fight some guy that's like 12 and 24 or something like that. Knocks him out in like the second, third round, murders him. But yeah, O'Hara Davies, he just had a fight in March. So we have this fight put together. No one kicks and screams because nobody cares, right? We don't care about these smaller fights. It's just whatever. Oh, okay, Rolly. Oh, I think I did hear people question how it happened, but no one's really pressing. I don't hear anyone calling the WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza. What's going on? How is this happening? So shame on boxing media. So Puello fails a drug test. Now Borrosso gets the opportunity, but still, how does Rolly Romero get this? And then the fight. He's down on all 3 cards, right? Rightfully so. Rolly, the big, strong, knock everybody out. Shakur Stevenson is boring. Tank Davis ran like a bitch. What was he doing in that fight? He was on his back. I never knew Rolly could move like that. Rolly looked like he was trying to be Pernell Whitaker in there without the skills. So it was a shame of a fight. Borrosso shouldn't have been there either, but he's ranked, right? And Rolly Romero proved he does not need to be there. He gets knocked down in third, fourth round. Gets hit clean one time, drops through the ropes. And we get to the 9th round. He starts landing some punches, and the referee says, "Okay, I've seen enough." Yo, I'm not a big person that likes to talk about, the corruption and the fixes, but I was in my, boxing group and saying like, yo, as soon as he starts landing a couple punches, that referee's going to come and wave it off. And that's exactly what happened. It's shameful. It's disgusting. And Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia, man, can't wait to see it.
And who'd you pick to win that one?
Oh, Ryan Garcia for sure. Right.
Okay, well, that was another long tangent, Alex. That's a few today already. Josh, what did you make of events? What do you think of Tony Weeks in general? A lot of people are saying corruption and stuff, but then people have said he's a solid ref, as demonstrated in the past, so it can't be incompetence. What do you make of it?
Yeah, spot on there, Alex. Now, I will say, yeah, definitely a bad look for Tony Weeks. Yeah, he is one of the top officials out there as far as having experience with championship fights, of course, on the main stage and everything. And he's had some moments before where things were a little bit shaky. I mean, you've seen him in fights where he didn't stop it. I think about Badu Jack, who had that huge gash and it was bleeding like a ton of blood. He was bleeding a million pints, and that fight wasn't stopped. And then situations where you have this type of thing where punches aren't fully landing and the fight is stopped. And I just think it's a bad look, and he's going to take some heat. He's taken some heat before. He took some heat in the Kovalev Andre Ward fight, the second one, that is. So I'd imagine he's used to taking the heat. And I know from officiating, it can be pretty uh, I would say fast paced at times when you're in there and you're seeing things and you have to make a decision cold turkey, and it depends on the angle in itself. But certainly that one, it didn't look like it warranted a stoppage because there hadn't been that much damage applied. And Rolly Romero, that was the first time he really threw some stuff in combination, and not a lot of it landed actually. So I think it's just a bad look just for boxing in itself. And when we think about, hey, boxing being corrupt and controlled in some fashion, these types of situations and fights lend to it for sure. This definitely doesn't help. If I were a casual fan coming in and seeing it for the first time, I'd certainly have some questions regarding how this went down the way it did. And it's just one of those things. Boxing, it steps on its own foot in some sense, and I think there's going to be there will be a need for a full scale change or just revitalization in some fashion for that to happen. And as it stands, of course, we know that there are power players in certain sections. When you think about Vegas, when you think about the other top spots where things happen, New York, etc., they're those you're gonna be familiar with seeing and hearing the names of them, whether that's officials, judges, the people tied to it in the commission in itself. And regardless of what happens, even if it's something that is a black stain for boxing, the same people seem to still always be involved. So until something happens in that regard, then we're going to see this recurring story. It's going to be a never ending story. But hey, maybe time will shape some things. As far as Rolly Romero, yeah, there's a horrible performance on his part. He doesn't look good at 140. Not that he looked good at 135 either. But that being said, yeah, I take Ryan Garcia to take him out as well. But he'll make it exciting as far as the press conferences and all the Twitter back and forth.